Hello everyone and welcome to I Know You Know, your one-stop knowledge sharing platform for all things careers, life after high school, as well as opportunities that are available to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. This video, as you've seen by the title, is a story time and it's about my experience of university. The reason I decided to film this video is that I know before I went to uni, I was very excited and interested in knowing about everything there is to know about it. How life is there, how your daily schedule is, what you get up to besides school, all of those details. And so in matric, I found myself texting and having conversations with a couple of people who had gone to university and basically just asking them, how is it? How was your experience for those who had already completed? And those who hadn't completed, like, how's it going? And so I thought I should film this video so that you can get a feel of how my experience was, bearing in mind that different people have a totally different experience, but I'll touch on that as I go. So what I'll do is I will speak about school, social life, extracurricular activities, the challenges, the good things about university, the things that change about my experience, and friends. So I'll try and touch a little bit on everything. Of course, I can't realistically fit 4 entire years into one video, but I will try my best to summarize it. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing, school. I was super excited to go to university. I had finished high school, gotten the marks I wanted, got into the university I wanted, the program I wanted, etc, etc. And so above anything, I was excited. And I was just ready to conquer university. You know, everybody, before you go to university, everybody's telling you uni is difficult, what, you know? And I was like, okay, but I still want to go, you know? I still want to have that experience for myself. I want to feel that for myself. And so I went to uni. And okay, at the beginning, to speak about my schedule started, my days started at 8. From 8 to 12 I had lectures in first year, and then from 12 to 2 it was a break meridian, and then from 2 to, like, I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 or 6. It could literally be any of the 2. I think it depended on the day and what tutorial we had, but from 2 until whatever time we had tutorials, and most of the tutorials, especially in first year, were compulsory. So basically I had an 8 until 6 day at school. Personally, it wasn't a huge adjustment because school-wise, I used to go to school from, like, obviously 7:30 or so. School would end at like 1:30, and then I did a lot of extracurricular activities, and in matric, we also had extra classes in the afternoons. So it wasn't a huge adjustment, but it was a little bit of a shock because from all the movies we watch, everybody starts their day at like 1 p.m, you know, and you've got a couple of classes here and there, but majority of the time you can sort of like spend wherever, in the library or at your place, whatever. But it was a shock because of that. I kind of had that expectation of not really having to be on campus from like 8 until like 6. But anyways, I'd say the first quarter was okay. I was overwhelmed, I won't lie, because there was always something to do. You can imagine at 6 when you leave, only then does the self-study start, because the whole time you were in contact. You were either in a lecture or in a tutorial. So after 6, that's when the self-study starts, and you need to eat. And if you want to do social stuff, you've got to squeeze that in as well. So it was a little bit overwhelming. It was quite a packed schedule, especially because during the day, during those lectures and tutorials, you cover quite a lot of work. So it's not like a one-page thing that you have to go over at the end of the day. It's quite a lot of work, and it's many courses that you're doing. So it was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming that I actually did not keep contact with so many people from back home. I think I spoke to my family, but I barely spoke to like my friends from back home. it was a lot. My one friend actually always reminisces on that time, and she was like, girl, unole can't tolaka. Like, it was known. I mean, that's not the way to go. I think that's just how I responded to feeling overwhelmed. I just felt like I don't have another hour to spare and call people and stuff like that and whatnot. And one could argue that by so doing, I sort of cut down my support system in a way, but anyways, so yes, so that was my daily schedule. So yeah, that was term 1, and then the marks came. So I was feeling overwhelmed, but because I had always been a slayer in my life, like everything I touch turns into gold, I thought to myself, I'm doing this, I am doing this. Then the test 1 marks came back. Guys, I was in disbelief more than anything. I was like, I can't believe I took out this mark. Like I was like, hectic. There was like what 23% like in the mix, and I was just like, not me, and it was, I don't think I was hacked so much that like I, oh my gosh, how could I? But it was more of a shock because I felt like I was like, because I'm always working, my expectation was at least the work will pay off. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I put in a lot of hours, and so surely my marks should reflect that. And that was not the case, and that for me was the shocking part. So yeah, I was shocked. And I remember my PLP asking me, are you sure this is the degree for you, or do you want to change, etc, etc. I was like, I'm doing this. And that's the thing about me. One thing you need to know about me is that I am very optimistic, sometimes too much. I did this other personality test and it confirmed that sometimes I'm too optimistic, so I need to kind of manage that by setting more realistic goals, etc, etc, etc. But I'm telling you now, I was like, this course, this degree, I'm going to get it. That was just me. I was like, I got very shocking marks, but I'm definitely going to get this degree come hell or high waters. And the high waters came. The hell came. But anyways, I got the degree 80s. So yes, but that was just me. I just thought to myself, like, change to what? I wanted to do this, and that's what I was gonna do. It's what I wanted to do. So obviously I stayed in the program, and I think over time I got to learn a little bit more about myself and what the course demands. I won't lie, it was a struggle from day 1 until day last. Literally until 4th year I was struggling. And I mean, I had a couple of meetings with some of my lecturers, and I suspect it had more to do with how the courses were packaged for me. Just to give you an idea, my major is packaged in such a way that we basically do one topic, what would have been a course on its own. All the courses that the Chem Eng major have been combined into one huge course that we do. Basically, it's my major, so I did it every year of the 4 years. And then what happens is we do what would have been a course that lasted a semester. We do it over 2 weeks. Of course, over the semester it might have been like 1 lecture a week, 2 lectures a week, etc. But now with it being squeezed into 2 weeks, it had to be like hectic schedule. Hence we were at school for such long hours because we had to cover like all the work and all the whole curriculum in those topics. And so we do one course for 2 weeks, then we'd have like a project week, and then on the Monday of the 4th week we write the test on the 2-week course that we did, and then we move on to the next one. And so what my lecturer explained was that unfortunately with this, I mean, you've got people that have different learning styles, and unfortunately with this, it disadvantages people that need a little bit more time to grasp and grapple with the concepts. And so he said that I'm probably those people, because even when we looked at like my supplementary marks, guys, I went to boot camp every single time there was boot camp. I went to boot camp. Boot camp is basically when you do not pass those 2-week courses. When you don't pass them, you have to write a supplementary. But for you to write a supplementary, you actually have to stay behind during the holidays and attend classes, and then you write the sub. You can't write the sub without attending the classes, and those classes were boot camp. They were my worst nightmare, because every time I thought it's time to go home, you get the email saying, girl, nah, you have to stay, you've got boot camp, etc, etc, etc. And if you have like boot camp for like, let's say 4 courses or whatever, that's pretty much your whole holiday. So you find that sometimes you don't even get to go home, depending on how many boot camp things you have. So it was quite a lot, but what he told me was that my boot camp marks are really high. So it shows that it's not that I have a problem with the concepts themselves, but it's a time issue. And I think over time, not that I got used to it, because as I said, it was tough the entire time, but I just, how can I put it? Like, I stopped being very hard on myself. That's one thing that happened. I stopped being too hard on myself. It was not any less painful to not go home, but it was what it was, and I just kept it moving. So yeah, I think that's what I can say about school. It was tough, it was rough, but we conquered. Okay, moving on to the other stuff. Social life. So my social life, firstly, friends. So when I went to UCT, I went with 2 other girls from Valcom who were also going to UCT, and so that's Dumi and Garaba. Shout out to you guys. Hey. So we knew each other. So we knew each other from back home, and then we got into UCT, and we kind of left Valcom together. Even on the day that we went to UCT, we left together with our families, and we went to Cape Town. So in a sense, I felt a little bit at ease, okay, let me put it this way. I felt more at ease than I would have felt had I been going to Cape Town alone and without knowing anybody. Especially because Dumi and I got into the same program and into the same res. So we were roommates as well. So that really took off the pressure of, feeling completely lonely in a new place and needing to make friends ASAP and fit in somewhere, etc. It definitely took that pressure off. Not to say that I didn't make friends. I mean, there are people that I met in OWEEK that we're still friends till this day. We call each other every now and then. Shout out Bays. Our group is called Bays, so shout out to the Bays. Yeah, so I met a whole lot of amazing people throughout my 4 years in university, and that's the one like huge takeaway for me. I met really amazing people throughout the 4 years, and I am super grateful for my experience in that regard, because I think the one thing about university is that because you are so far away from home, you come home to your friends. When you have problems, they are the ones that are with you. I mean, you can always call home, and they can always like attempt to help and comfort you, etc. But sometimes someone needs to see you in the trenches and support you while you're in the trenches, and that's the role that friends play. So friends become a very important role, or play a very important role in university, and it's super important that you also choose your friends well, because I feel like friends can make or break you. Of course, it depends on your personality, but I think, for example, friends that are a good support system can really help you through tough times, because there will be tough times. I promise you, there will be tough times. There will be times where you feel like you can't do this anymore. There'll be times when it just seems like nothing is coming together, and your friends are the ones that will be there for you to support you and to help you through whatever challenge it is you're facing. So friends are very important in uni. Going out. So for me, when I went to uni, I wasn't like super, excited about going out, because even before I went to uni, my parents allowed me to go out. Not that I went out much, but I think it's by choice, and also I don't think there was much going on. Okay, there was much going on. I didn't attend the stuff that was going on in Falcom. But anyways, yeah, so for me it wasn't I'm super excited to go to uni so I can go out every night type vibe, you know. It was just I'm excited to go out in Cape Town, you know. However, I didn't go out as much as probably the average student, and here's why. When I finished school at 6, I had to go back to res, eat supper in the dining hall, freshen up, like shower, dress up all cute and stuff, get into an Uber, focus on staying safe in the Uber. You get to the club or wherever along street, etc., and you have fun, right? But majority of the times, majority of the times that I did go out, I went out with my girls. Now you can imagine a group of girls, you know how the setting is when you're out and about. Okay, you know what the setting is like when you're going out, especially to like clubs and such places. You kind of need to make sure that everybody's safe. You can't get like too drunk because, you know, you have to stay safe. You have to focus on staying safe. Then afterwards you get into an Uber, you go back. Child, no. I was like, S for Soze. To me it just felt, it was admin. It felt more admin than fun because of everything that had to go into it. And of course I think like having certain resources does play a part. I mean, obviously if you have a car, it might change the experience, do you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people had fun going out, but for me, I just felt like, first of all, I'm working all the time. Best believe that any free time I get, I want to rest, I want to sleep, you know. And that's pretty much what happened. I didn't go out as much as I could have, or as much as like the average student. And I had people in my degree that went out like all the time, you know. So it's not even a degree thing or you know. I think it was also more than anything a personal choice, you know. Yeah. And besides, my friends and I over the years tended to prefer like more bright type of chill sessions, like where we are in the comfort of our own spaces, especially in like 3rd or 4th year, because we moved to a race that had a very nice like outside area for like braais and chillas, man, you know. And I think that's more what I gravitated towards as far as having fun and, you know, winding down is concerned. We also like went on hikes. We went to Kirstenbosch, like Kirstenbosch Gardens, went to the beach a couple of times. To say that I didn't do as many activities as I could have done being in Cape Town, but it was what it was. And for me, that was my social experience. I think it was more home type get-togethers than it was going out and clubbing and club hopping, etc. Extracurricular activities. One thing my mentor from back home told me was that make sure that when you go to university, you don't just walk out with a degree. It's supposed to be a wholesome experience. You're a wholesome human being. You're not just a bookworm, you know, and don't let that be your story, you know. And so one thing that I definitely did was I did a whole lot of like extracurricular stuff. Like I immersed myself in whatever was available. I was part of the subcomia Investment Society. I was the founding member of the UCT Business Women's Association student chapter. I did global citizenship. At some point, I even attempted ballroom dancing, but I left it very fast. Very fast. It was just not working out for me. Not the dancing part, but you know, your first semester when everybody is like, okay, I imagine this is how it goes because a lot of people are new. The first couple of months of ballroom dancing, you'll be kind of moving from person to person, and every time you have practice, you switch partners. Not even every time I have practice, probably like every new move we do, you switch partners and you're just getting to know people, getting to find people that you're compatible with, etc. But guys, I was so tired of answering, what's your name, what are you studying, where are you from, what year are you doing? I was tired. Like ballroom dancing was supposed to be something that I do in my downtime, and to go there and constantly answer these specific questions, constantly introduce myself, constantly have small talk, because you know, like sometimes you just don't click with someone and you're just like, but you're there dancing with them, so you have to small talk. Yeah, that was tiring for me, so I left very quickly. I also volunteered for Ubunye, which is it's a volunteering society, and I volunteered to coach debating. So I was responsible for a school and I coached debating in that school for that year. I also did Eng, which I did in my final year actually. I'll film a video about it. It was an absolutely amazing experience. And besides extracurricular activities, I co-founded a business with a group of friends, and it's called TAQA. You can actually check it out on social media, Twitter and Facebook, TAQA. And yeah, it's been a really amazing journey. We co-founded it when I was in second year, and we've pivoted quite a couple of times, but we have some really exciting things coming up. So I am super excited. So definitely do tune in on our pages and see what's coming up. Another thing was this channel, I Know You Know. I planned it well in uni. In fact, I've had this idea for some time, like for years. Just that I definitely knew that with my hectic schedule, I would not be able to fully commit to it. And so I just planned what segments I'd like to have, some of which I haven't launched. Like there's so many segments that I am planning on launching as we go, but yeah, so I planned it as well while in uni, so that's something I did. So I did quite a lot of things outside of just school, and I think that's one thing that made my experience very wholesome. So let's go into the challenges. The challenges I faced while in uni. The first and biggest one is uni. School is university is hectic, guys. Like I've already hinted that I was working my butt off the entire time I was there. There was never a time where I felt like at least, you know, like zero. The only time I was not stressed was when I was home during holidays, when I got to go home. But as long as I was in Cape Town, I was super stressed. Uni was stressful, school is stressful. And I think it's very important to lean on to whatever support systems you have, and even the resources that they provide at school. Go to your tutors, use your hours with your lecturer, whatever it is that you need to do. Use whatever resource there is because you will need it. Yeah, uni was hectic. The second challenge was mental health. With all the stress that comes with school and all the other pressures that do exist around, a lot of students undergo mental health issues. And besides just undergoing mental health issues, mental health in itself is something that you need to manage. The same way you need to keep healthy, like physically, is the same way mental health also needs to be managed. And I think because everything happens at such a high intensity in university, and some people don't have the like adequate support systems, etc., it is exacerbated. You know, the need to manage your mental health and keep it in check is exacerbated. So that was like a huge challenge. Yeah, mental health was a challenge in university. The third challenge, guys, is being broke. I think this is one of the biggest things that students generally complain about, being broke. I think as a student, you leave home where you were being provided for everything, and now you have to sustain yourself, you know. And I mean, we have different money, what do you call? We come from different backgrounds, etc. And obviously that plays a role in like how broke you are. But for me, for example, I had to rely solely on the money I was getting from my bursary. Like I wasn't getting any money from home. So if this is an end and this is another end, I had to make them do this. I had to make them eat. guys, I had to make ends meet. And the other thing was, I did try to get like a job and stuff along the way, but it was just not working out with my schedule, you know. But I did work in the language department here and there, but yeah, it was tough. But basically it was tough, guys. Money was a challenge. Money was a challenge, and I think it continues to be a challenge for a whole lot of students, and that's just what it is. So as a student, you really just need to learn how to manage your money well, learn how to stretch your rand, and make sure that your rand sees to it that you are sustained and you are catered for, etc. But yeah, being broke is definitely a challenge in uni. The other challenge in uni is managing yourself. I mean, I personally don't think I was hit hard by this specific challenge, because I think by nature, I'm a very independent person, and even before I left home, I was already a very independent person, as far as possible, obviously. But definitely it's a huge challenge managing yourself. You can just imagine, some people go from homes where their parents made their decisions for them. Their parents either made decisions for them or had rules in place to make them do certain things at certain times, and do, you know, rules on how to live their lives, like rules that govern life in general. So when you go to uni, all of a sudden you have this freedom, and before you leave home, it seems like it's going to be super amazing, you know, and all of that. But then you realize you're confronted with so many choices. You actually need to make choices. Like, you actually need to think about whether some of the things that you did, liked, said, or represented are actually things that are you, or if it was things that were imposed on you by your parents or your community, etc. So now you're literally this individual in the world who has to make those kinds of decisions, like whether it's like spirituality, like whether it's like political beliefs, whether you want to stay out late every day until midnight. It doesn't matter. Nobody is helping you manage your life. Whether you want to go to class or not, nobody's doing that for you. Nobody's helping you with that. So whatever you decide, that's what will happen. A lot of people do struggle with managing themselves in university, managing everything there is to being a wholesome human, from the food you eat, to the clothes you wear, to the things you do, when you do them, how you do them. Everything is up to you, and unfortunately some people do struggle with this in university. And then the last challenge I'd like to discuss is a lifestyle challenge. Again, I don't think I really suffered from this particular challenge, but I thought I should mention it because it's a huge challenge. I mean, for the first time, a lot of us probably come from communities and spaces where we were surrounded by people who are probably lived a similar kind of lifestyle to us, and their families live similar kind of lifestyle to our families. So it's not so much of a shock when you are interacting with people. But guys, for the first time in university, you will sit in a class with somebody who drives a Ferrari, and then it's theirs, you know, not their parents, not the whoever's, it's their car, you know. Here you are when you don't even have a bicycle, you know. It's, for some people, it hits them really hard. It hits them really hard. Some people want to fit into certain social circles, but they find that, hey, it's a lot. Like, if you are in a circle of people that want to go out every day and you don't have the money, you know, that can be something that stresses a person out. And unfortunately, a lot of students fall for this. Some students end up making, you know, like debts, whether it's like clothing accounts, whatever accounts, etc., etc. But there is a lifestyle pressure that does exist in university. Like, it becomes a lot for a lot of people. Personally, I've always been of the opinion, your own lane, own pace, do your own thing. You're the only one that knows your goals. You're the only one that knows your vision. You're the only one that knows your ability. And so don't let other people's goals and visions or ways of life pressurize you to do or live your life in a certain way. Do what it is that you're able to do at the time and just keep it moving. And that's that on that. Okay, moving on to the good stuff about uni. Firstly, I got to learn so much about myself. As I've already said, you are confronted with a lot of choices. You need to make a lot of choices, and so eventually you get to learn a lot more about yourself. You get to learn the things that you like, the things that you don't like, what it is that you prefer, like across the board. You just get to know yourself more, because you're not doing things because other people are not doing them, hopefully. You're doing things because you want to do them. You're doing things because you think that's what's best for you. And over time, you really just get to know yourself a little bit more. And I really enjoyed that process. And I am continuing to get to know myself a little bit more, because I don't think it's an ending journey. But I think university is quite the leap for you to get started on this journey. Or rather, it forces you to get started with this journey, let me put it that way. Secondly, I learned how to prioritize. There's so much to do everywhere. Like extracurricular activities, there's a lot. Like you can be, okay, you can't be a committee member in everything, like, you know, like you can't be a committee member for every committee there is out there. You need to make a choice. You need to kind of think about what it is that would benefit you more, what it is that would be more fun for you, whatever criteria you're using. But you need to prioritize things. You need to choose stuff. Even friends, you need to choose. You can't be everybody's friend. I mean, I lived in a race with 400 girls. You can't realistically be everybody's friend. You need to choose your friends, and I think I learned quite a lot about prioritizing and making choices as well. The other thing I learned is I learned a lot about other people. In uni, one thing that's really thrust in your face is the fact that you're not the only one that's on the journey of becoming. Everybody else is too, and I think that's how life is in general. And so I got to learn a lot about other people. I got to learn a lot about what it is that I want in friendships. I got to learn a lot about what it is that I want in a relationship. I got to learn a lot about my interactions with people and what it is that I can contribute in friendships, relationships, and whatever relation it is with people. I learned a lot about what it is that what it is that I want that to look like. I learned a lot about that. And speaking of people, the very last thing I'd like to touch on about the positives was definitely the people I got to meet during my university career. Guys, I met a whole lot of amazing people that are very inspiring, people that are very entertaining, people, like there's a range of people that I met that really just made my experience golden, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I don't think I'd be where I am without the people that I met in my journey, and so I'm super, super grateful for that. But that's one of the top tier highlights, the people I got to meet in uni. Moving on to what I would change. What would I change about my university experience? Firstly, I think I'd go in more open-minded about my learning style and how it is that I prefer to learn. I think one of the challenges for me was, and I think this would have changed my learning experience a lot, because the only thing I gained from lectures was sort of like the skeleton of what we're doing and where we are, like what topic are we doing, you know. But it was never ever sufficient. Like I could never write a test about something I just attended a lecture for and attempted a TAT for. I actually had to go back and read the stuff over and over again and self-study, almost as if I didn't attend the lecture at all, you know. And that's where I learned most. But I just felt like, because you know in school you have to attend classes and stuff, I just felt like I didn't want to miss out on lectures, because I would not know where we are, not know what topics we're doing and stuff like that. And retrospectively thinking, honestly, there could have been a million ways I could have found that out. And I could have rather used my mornings to self-study instead of trying to go to lectures and tutorials and then try to self-study everything again. Basically, I'm trying to have another day within a day, you know, like I need a 48 hours in my days. And obviously that was a lot. It's not realistic time-wise. And so I think had I gone in with a different mindset of saying, I'm going to experiment what works, and I must not be afraid to let go of what doesn't work, and attempt other things. So definitely that's something I think I would have changed. The second thing, I think a lot about the fact that I didn't do everything there is to do in Cape Town. I mean, guys, I stayed in Cape Town for 4 years, but I can probably count the number of times I went to the beach on one hand, even, you know, and there's a lot to be done. And I think sometimes I think about the fact that I didn't really get to do that, and I wonder if I could have made more time for such things. And I mean, I think I did what I had to do at the time, because I think had I done all those things that I think I wanted to do and should have done, I might not be where I am right now, you know. And the other thing is, with all the other challenges that I mentioned, it is expensive to do stuff, you know. You find that if you want to go to like a Stellenbosch, Uber 300, you want to go to wine tasting, it's, you know, whatever. But my point is, at that time, life demanded of me to be and do certain things or to not do certain things, and that's what I did. And now I'm done, I've completed my degree. I can now go back to Cape Town as a tourist and go to all these places that people are asking me about that I keep telling I don't know. I don't know how Robben Island is. I don't know how how a lot of places are, okay? So I will go back and tour those places and have fun in those places. Yes, it won't be the same as me doing them while in school, but I'll still get to do them, you know, and it'd be like that sometimes. But sometimes, I won't lie, it's a thought that does cross my mind to think, okay, maybe I could have done a little bit more, you know, as far as doing stuff around Cape Town is concerned. But yes, so I think that pretty much sums my experience. Of course, it is difficult to squeeze 4 years into a video. If I missed something or you want to know something specific that I did not mention, put your questions below. I will comment and answer, depending on how long the answer is. If the answer is very long, I'll film a video for that. However, if it's something I can quickly reply to, I will definitely reply to that. So feel free, ask anything about my university experience. I will try to be as honest as possible, because I think the whole point of this platform is to share knowledge, share resources, and for everybody to get to know stuff, you know. So feel free to comment down below. Also feel free to request videos of things that you want me to film. I have been filming a couple of videos that have been requested by people. Some of them you'll see them in the upcoming weeks, but feel free to comment, to request the video in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this with people in your circle, at least 2 people, and let's ensure that the I Know You Know community grows. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye.